This is the number calculator set B worksheet. So let's just have a quick look, and this is the sheet that you should have in front of you. Okay, make sure you have this sheet. You should have done set A already, have a good idea of how to do them. Let's actually just go through this then. The first question, use the calculator to work out. Now, one of the key things in this question is that these angles here, or these values of 60, these are angles. So when you enter it onto your calculator, make sure you put brackets around those. That is very important. That's a mistake that people commonly make. When you put this on your calculator, that's what it should look like, and there's the answer you should get. 1.931851653. Write down all the numbers on your calculator display. That's really important. If you don't do that, you're going to just lose the marks and they're not going to give it to you. Question 2. Give your answer to question 1 to 3 significant figures. So 3 significant figures, count them 1, 2, 3, and you're going to chop it off there. If you want to draw that line, do it in pencil. Look at the next number along. If it's 5 or more, then you will need to round up. In this case, it's a 1, so we don't need to do anything. We're going to get rid of everything else, and our answer is going to be 1.93. So that's it to 3 significant figures. Question 3, as we did before, we're going to work out the cost of 1 plant. So we're going to divide £8.60 by 20. Write down the answer. That's what came up on the calculator. 1275, we're going to divide that by 30. What's the next one? 1680, we're going to divide that by 40. Okay, in this one here, to make them all the same number of decimal places, I'm going to put a 0 at the end there. That makes them look the same, so I have 430, 425, and 420. Which is the smallest value? This tells me blatantly that tray C is the best value. Okay, make sure you're okay with this and you can do it. In question 4, we talked about this in the last one. The 2 dots above the 4 and the 3 means that those 2 numbers are recurring. So it's 0.43434343 and so on. Because it's 2 numbers that are recurring, to write it as a fraction, I could write 0.43 over 2 nines, 99, and that's it. Because there are 2 numbers recurring, I'll write it over 99. Okay? Think about it, make sure you understand it. We did discuss this in class at great length. Question 5. Over here, it's the opposite of what we've just done. We've got 352 divided by 999. When I do that division, there are 3 numbers that are going to be recurring, the 3, the 5, and the 2. So as a decimal, that's going to be 0.352, 352, 352, and so on. When I write it as a recurring decimal, I don't need to put dots over every number, just the first and the last numbers that are recurring. So that there's a dot above the 3, a dot above the 2 to indicate that. Question 6, we should be really familiar with that. Start off with let y equal 0.28 recurring, times it by 10, 2.8 recurring, times that one by 10 again, so again 100y is equal to 28.8 recurring. Then we're going to do a subtraction. 100 take away 10, 100y take away 10y is 90y, 28 take away 2 is 26, and 0.8 recurring take away 0.8 recurring, they will just cancel each other out. Divide by 90, I'll get 26 over 90. Leave it like that if they didn't save to simplify, but if they did, simplified is going to give me 13 over 45. Make sure you understand that fully. We've done quite a few of those, and many of you are quite good at this. Question 7. Gary's company pays him 32p for each mile he travels. Gary writes down the distance reading from his car. At the start of the day, the meter read 2,430 miles. At the end of the day, 2,658 miles. Work out how much money, how much the company pays Gary for his day's travel. Just like the last time, we're going to work out how many miles he traveled. So the units he used, or the miles he traveled, is going to be 2,658 take away 2,430. You should be able to do this without a calculator, and I'll use the column method if I was doing this subtraction. But with your calculator, you can work it out as 228. I'm going to times that by his rate, the amount he gets paid for each mile he travels. He gets 32 pence for each mile he travels, so I'm going to times that by 32 pence. Again, you should be able to do this without a calculator if you're required to do so, but this time you're allowed to use a calculator. If you work that out, you're going to get that. And I've put pence there because this answer is in pence. We need to turn it into pounds, and it's £72.96. Make sure you're okay with this, and you can do this if required in an exam. Question 8. We talked about this in the last case. Remember, you always, because it's compound interest, right? Your multiplier is going to be 100 plus whatever your rate of interest is. And over here, our rate of interest is 4.5, so it's 104.5. But when I write that as a decimal, it's going to be 1.045. So this is a percentage, so it's going to be 1.045. That is my multiplier, and it's really important that you can get to that value. Over here, because it's 4.5%, remember my multiplier is going to be 1.045. It's going to be to the power of 5 because it's for 5 years, and I need to times it by 4,500 because that's the amount of money I put in. When you put that into your calculator, that's what it should look like. The answer needs to be to 2 decimal places. So if I chop that off at that point there, I need to round up the 1, and I'm going to get 5,607.82. Be very careful with that, and don't lose any marks carelessly. In part 9, or question 9, we're talking about depreciation there. Jim buys a car for £18,000. It depreciates at a rate of 8%. It's going down in value. So this time I'm going to do 100%, my original, take away 8%, right? That leaves me 92%. And as a decimal, 92% is 0.92. So that's going to be my multiplier. I'm going to have 18,000 times 0.92 to the power of 7. Just like with the compound interest, but the way we got the multiplier was different because we're depreciating. When you stick that into your calculator, this is what it should look like. And again, just like the last time, we're going to round it to 2 decimal places because it's money we're dealing with. And in this case, again, I'll need to round that 3 up because the next number along is an 8. So I'm going to get £10,041.24. Make sure you're okay with that, and you could do that yourself. Question 10. There's a bit of a twist in this question compared to the last question. In a test, Ben got 12 questions correct. He got 30% of the questions right. So that means 30% is 12 questions. 1% is 12 divided by 30. That's 0.4. So 100% is 0.4 times 100, which is 40 questions. So that means there were 40 questions in the test altogether. Really study this question, and you need to read these questions carefully. Compare this to question number 10 in sheet A. Yeah, there's a slight twist here, so you just need to think about it very carefully. See me if you still don't understand it, but make sure you do think about it very carefully. Question 11, exchange rate. So I'm going to draw in my arrows. When you go forward, you times. When you go backwards, you divide. Read the question carefully. A sandwich costs $16.80. So I need to go from dollars to pounds, and I need to go backwards. So that means I need to divide 1680 divided by 140, and that's going to give me £12 exactly. Expensive sandwich. Question 12. I need to work out the upper and lower bounds of each of those. So if you understood what we did the last time, the upper bound for X is going to be 26.5, and the lower bound is going to be 25.5. For Y's lower bound is going to be 20.5, and Y's upper bound is going to be 21.5. If you write these down, there is a chance that you pick up a mark in this question, but now think about what the question is asking. Find the minimum value of X plus Y. So what's the smallest value I could get by adding one of these X values to one of these Y values? So it will be from using the lower bound. So the lower value of X plus the lower value of Y will give me the minimum, the smallest it could be. So I'm going to use the lower bounds, 25.5 plus 20.5, and that gives me 46. Be very careful with this and make sure you do understand this. Question 13. In the previous one, we did a percentage decrease. Over here, there's a percentage increase. So we need to work out the actual increase, 713 take away 620. And remember, I said the last time, the original value is what goes at the bottom, right? Always it's the original value, the original amount that goes at the bottom. If I stick this into my calculator, that's what it should look like. And I could see there, my answer is going to be 15%. Make sure you understand how to do this completely, and you can do this in an exam if required. Question 14, work out 28%, 28 out of 100, of 85,000. When you put this on your calculator, that's what it should look like, and your answer should be 23,800. Finally, question 15, work out 35 out of 56. 35 out of 56 as a fraction, times it by 100, On your calculator, you should see that clearly, and the answer is 62.5%. Make sure you understand all of these questions. You should have a better understanding. Go on and try sheet C and try to see if you could do it on your own completely before you actually look at the answers.